Hello children, we are discussing the chapter materials, metals and non-metals. In this chapter, we are discussing the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. The reactions which we had already done is the reaction of metals and non-metals with oxygen or air. When metal reacts with oxygen, they form metallic oxides which are basic in nature. When metals react with oxygen or oxygen of air, they will form metallic oxides. And metallic oxides are basic in nature. That is, they turn red litmus blue. For example, when sodium reacts with oxygen, it will form sodium oxide. Sodium is a metal. When it reacts with oxygen, it will form sodium oxide. Magnesium, when it reacts with oxygen, it will form magnesium oxide. Aluminium, when reacts with oxygen, will form aluminium oxide, and all those metal oxides are basic in nature. The only thing which we have to do carefully is sodium, potassium react with oxygen at room temperature. That is why we store them under kerosene oil. Sodium or potassium, being high reactive metals, react with the oxygen or air very rapidly at the room temperature. So we have to store them under the kerosene oil. Whereas the elements, the metals like magnesium, aluminium, they require small amount of heat energy. Iron requires prolonged strong heating. Copper also requires prolonged and strong heat to react with oxygen and to form its respective oxide. Whereas when non-metals react with oxygen, they will form non-metallic oxides. And these are either acidic or न्यूट्रल इन नेचर. बच्चे जब नॉन मेटल्स रिएक्ट करते हैं ऑक्सीजन से, तो दे विल फॉर्म नॉन मेटालिक ऑक्साइड्स विच आर ईदर एसिडिक और न्यूट्रल इन नेचर. फॉर एग्जांपल, कार्बन रिएक्ट्स विद ऑक्सीजन टू फॉर्म CO2. If CO2 is in excess, is in sufficient amount, but if that O2, that oxygen, is in less amount, is in deficient amount, then it will form carbon monoxide. This one is a neutral oxide and this one is acidic oxide. So non-metal react with oxygen to form either acidic or neutral oxides. Whereas the other example is sulfur. It is a non-metal. When reacts with oxygen, it will form sulfur dioxide gas, which is acidic in nature. So when sulfur combines with oxygen, it will form a gas, that is sulfur dioxide, which is acidic in nature. So this is the reaction of metals and non-metals with oxygen. You can differentiate as well on the basis of this reaction. Metal react with oxygen of air to form metallic oxides, which are basic in nature. Whereas non-metal reacts with oxygen or air to form non-metallic oxides, which are either acidic or neutral in nature. The second reaction, which we already discussed, is reaction of metals and non-metals with water. When metals react with water, either in the liquid form or with the steam, then they will form metal hydroxides with the steam they'll form metal oxides along with the release of hydrogen gas in the both cases. जब बच्चों metal react करते हैं तो metal reaction is of differentiated into two forms. First with the liquid water and other one was the gaseous form of water, the pressurized gaseous form of water, that is steam. When metal react with liquid water, they form metal hydroxides and hydrogen gas is produced. Whereas when metal reacts with steam, they form metal oxides and hydrogen gas is produced. So in both the gases, hydrogen gas is produced and hydrogen gas burns with a pop-up sum. Then what is the twist in this reaction? The twist is that some of the metals react with cold water, some of the metals react with hot water, some of the metals would react with steam only, and some of the metals do not react at all with either water or steam. So first with the cold water, sodium and potassium reacts with the water, with the cold water. This one is potassium and this one is sodium. They will form their respective hydroxides, like sodium reacts and forms sodium hydroxide, whereas potassium react and form potassium hydroxide along with the release of hydrogen gas. The formula of potassium hydroxide is KOH and the formula of sodium hydroxide is NaOH. In class 8 you can leave this formula, you can just leave this naming of the reactions, right? Potassium reacts with water to form potassium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. No need for the formulas in class 8. So this is the reaction between the sodium and potassium with cold water. This is a violent reaction. A large explosion is heard. Next, with the hot water, magnesium reacts with hot water. Form magnesium hydroxide and hydrogen gas is produced. This is the formula of magnesium hydroxide. In class 8 you have to cram them, but in class 9 or after class 9 you will be able to form them. So for the sake of class 8, just remember the names only. Don't go for the formulas if you don't want to. Next, reaction with steam. Aluminium, iron, zinc, they do not react either with the cold water or with the hot water. They react with the steam only. When aluminium reacts with steam, it will form aluminium oxide along with the release of hydrogen gas. So that is the reaction of metals with water and steam, whereas non-metals do not react with water. So that is the second difference between the metals and non-metals. First was the reaction with oxygen or air, the second is the reaction with water. Next we will discuss the reaction with acids. Metal reacts with acids to form metallic salts along with the release of a gas, that is hydrogen gas. And hydrogen gas burns with a pop-up cell. Non-metals do not react with acids. The reaction of metal with acids is based on reactivity series. कालू नाम का माली आलू जरा फीके नीले से पकाता है. That is the short form, the first alphabet switching. Then copper, mercury, silver, gold, and platinum. This is the reactivity series we have discussed previously, bache. Potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, nickel, tin, lead, and then hydrogen. Acids contain hydrogen atom. For example, HCl, hydrochloric acid. H2SO4, sulfuric acid. It is also known as hydrogen sulfate. H2CO3, carbonic acid. So these are the acids, bache. They all contain hydrogen ions, hydrogen atom. We'll take a metal, bache. For example, sodium, potassium, magnesium. If we go for the formation of salts, bache, when sodium reacts with acid, it will form a salt. How? Sodium is more reactive than hydrogen. Sodium comes above in the reactivity series. So sodium is more reactive than hydrogen. And the reactions in which a more reactive element or metal displaces the less reactive one is known as displacement reaction. बच्चे हमेशा क्या होता है, एक ज्यादा रिएक्टिव एलिमेंट एक लेस रिएक्टिव एलिमेंट को अपनी जगह से हटा देता है. तो सोडियम बच्चे ज्यादा रिएक्टिव है हाइड्रोजन से, यह हाइड्रोजन को अपनी जगह से हटा देगा. क्या बनाएगा? सोडियम क्लोराइड. इट इज द सॉल्ट बेटा, टेबल सॉल्ट. देखो बच्चे, पहले हाइड्रोजन क्लोराइड था, क्लोरीन के साथ हाइड्रोजन था. अब सोडियम उससे रिएक्ट रहा है, सोडियम उससे ज्यादा रिएक्टिव है, तो हाइड्रोजन को क्या कर देगा? डिस्प्लेस, एंड इट विल फॉर्म सोडियम क्लोराइड विद द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ हाइड्रोजन गैस. नेक्स्ट, पोटेशियम रिएक्ट्स विद सल्फ्यूरिक एसिड. पोटेशियम ऑल्सो कम्स अबव हाइड्रोजन. बेटा पोटेशियम यहां पर है और हाइड्रोजन ये रहा. So potassium is more reactive than hydrogen. So potassium will displace hydrogen. Potassium हाइड्रोजन को अपनी जगह से हटा देगा. It will form potassium sulfate. As earlier it was hydrogen sulfate. With the sulfate SO4 there is hydrogen. But now potassium is more reactive than hydrogen, so it will displace it. वो उसको अपनी जगह से क्या कर देगा? डिस्प्लेस. एंड हाइड्रोजन गैस इज प्रोड्यूस्ड. हाइड्रोजन गैस इज रिलीज्ड. सो दिस इज द रिएक्शन बिटवीन द मेटल्स एंड द एसिड्स. नेक्स्ट, मैग्नीशियम. Magnesium is also comes above in the reactivity series than hydrogen. So magnesium is more reactive than hydrogen. So a more reactive element, a metal, displaces the less reactive element from its place. Magnesium ज्यादा reactive है बच्चों, हाइड्रोजन less reactive है. हाइड्रोजन नीचे है, मैग्नीशियम ऊपर. तो मैग्नीशियम हाइड्रोजन को डिस्प्लेस कर देगा. It will form magnesium carbonate along with the release of hydrogen gas. These are the reactions of metals with acids. But suppose we take copper reacting with hydrogen chloride, which is also known as hydrochloric acid. Suppose silver reacts with HCl. Hydrogen chloride or hydrochloric acid. Now, if you look carefully towards this reactivity series, copper, silver, gold, platinum are less reactive than hydrogen. कॉपर, मर्करी, सिल्वर, गोल्ड और प्लैटिनम हाइड्रोजन से क्या है, लेस रिएक्टिव है, तो ये हाइड्रोजन को डिस्प्लेस नहीं कर सकते. सो इन दीज केसेस नो रिएक्शंस टेक्स प्लेस. And from here a very important question will form that name the elements, name the two elements which will react with acids and displace hydrogen. कौन करेगा पता, जो हाइड्रोजन से ज्यादा रिएक्टिव हैं, like potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, nickel, tin, lead. These are more reactive than hydrogen. So they will displace the hydrogen from the acids. इनमें से कोई भी दो लिख दें. Whereas copper, mercury, silver, gold, platinum, they are less reactive than hydrogen. So they cannot be able to displace hydrogen from the acids. Next one. Non-metals do not react with acids. Non-metals acids के साथ react नहीं करते. क्यों नहीं करते? Because non-metals are electronegative in nature. They gain electrons. एसिड से सिर्फ वही रिएक्ट कर पाएगा और हाइड्रोजन को डिस्प्लेस कर पाएगा जो इलेक्ट्रॉन डोनेट कर सके. Electrons are the particles which are present inside the atoms that you will study in your other classes. So due to electronegative nature of non-metals, the acids do not react with them. So that is the reaction of acids with metals and non-metals, and on this basis also you can differentiate between them. Metal reacts with acid to form metallic salts with the release of hydrogen gas, whereas non-metals do not react with acids. Metals react करते हैं बच्चों acid से, and they will form metallic salts and hydrogen gas is produced, whereas non-metals do not react with acids. Now we will discuss the reaction of metals and non-metals with bases. Only a few metals react with bases, and those metals are aluminium and zinc. Aluminium reacts with one of the strongest base, that is a sodium hydroxide, and it will form sodium aluminate, that is NaAlO2. It is a complex salt along with the release of hydrogen gas. How will you identify the hydrogen gas, बच्चे? Hydrogen gas burns with a pop-up sound. So aluminium reacts with sodium hydroxide, that is the base, one of the strongest base we have, to form sodium aluminate and hydrogen gas. Whereas when zinc reacts with the same base, that is sodium hydroxide, then it will again form a salt named as sodium zincate, that is Na2ZnO2. Sodium zincate to form and hydrogen gas. So बच्चे, few metals, only a few, that is the two metals, that is aluminium and zinc, react with the specific base, that is NaOH, and form sodium aluminate and sodium zincate respectively. In both the cases, a gas is produced, that is hydrogen gas. Whereas the reaction of non-metals with bases is a very complicated reaction that you will study in your higher classes. That is why we generally don't use this as a difference between the metals and non-metals, as both of them will react. Some part of metals as well as some part of non-metal react with the bases, but the non-metal reactions with bases is a very complicated reaction, so we are not going to study that reaction in this chapter, bache, that you will study in your higher